We've got a great one here for you for Sunday Night Football as the Baltimore Ravens fly down to Florida to take on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Baltimore Ravens coming off one of the most exciting games, I would say, of the 2023 NFL season with a walk-off punt return overtime victory against the Los Angeles Rams here. I know the Jets did that in week 1 against the Bills, but the Jets are not having nearly as exciting of a season as the Ravens. And with everything on the line, it was absolutely fascinating to watch. And I would say, and looking at the schedule here now, of all of the Ravens wins, this win I think was by far the best win that they've had all year. Rams are one of the hottest teams in the league right now with Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, that entire offense. Defensively, they've also been picked up a lot as well. They took all the punches. Rams were able to put up 31 points against this Ravens defense. Not a lot of teams can say that they've done that in general. And so for the Ravens to come out and win this game, I thought was huge for the confidence overall for themselves, but also then to establish themselves as like the number one team in the AFC. And then with the Chiefs losing and also the team that they're playing, the Jacksonville Jaguars losing Ryan in week 14, it's really going to come down to them in Miami. And if I'm not mistaken, they are playing on New Year's Eve, which I will say that is scheduled right now as a 1:00 game. That would be so much fun to watch if they move to Monday Night Football. That would be a great way to end the year, that game. That is going to be a phenomenal game. But let's focus on this game right now, as actually the Ravens are playing the Jaguars right now, flying down to Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence and company lost to Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns here. They lost 31-27, but in all honesty, the game wasn't really that close, in my opinion. Lawrence threw the ball 50 times, had 3 touchdowns, but also 3 picks. But they were down the entirety of the game against them. What's your overall thoughts kind of on Jacksonville? Not Christian Kirk was not playing. Also, Walker Little was not playing as well. Trevor Lawrence, actually, shockingly, don't know what happened there. Trevor Lawrence actually was surprising to play after his scary leg injury. What's your overall thoughts on the Jags and the performance today and what they have to do to kind of pull off an upset victory against the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to definitely play better on the defensive side of the ball if they want a chance in this matchup. I honestly, for what they had on the offense side of the ball, I was pretty impressed with Trevor Lawrence and this team just because they were able to really hang in there. Especially, I think they were down by 2 touchdowns close to the end of the game, and they were able to bring it in to a 31-27 victory there and make it close. So it's definitely interesting. And this offense can compete with anyone in the league. But for me, it comes on the defensive side of the ball. They're really going to have to contain Lamar Jackson. He was a handful and more for the Rams today as well. And he, I know it's probably going to sound stupid, but like he was definitely the MVP of the game today, just for his ability to extend plays, hitting guys downfield on long scramble plays is really kind of what kept them in this game, and just his ability to do that. And again, I know that probably sounds really stupid, but he did that today, I think, as good as I've ever seen him do that against the Rams and that athletic defense that they have. So his ability to create is like no other in the league. And when he plays how he does today, it's going to be really hard, I think, for teams to beat the Ravens, especially too when Zay Flowers and wide receiving group is playing well also.
Yeah, well, and it's one of the things too, it's as much as I love Mark Andrews, I almost feel with the type of offense that they're trying to implement and have him throw the ball a little more, Isaiah Likely fits that offense, I think, better. I think when they were more of a run-heavy focused team, they still run the ball a lot. And so I don't want to make it seem like Mark Andrews is clearly the.
It's more even, where it was kind of 60-40 before.
Yeah. Because now I look at the target spread here. Odell Beckham had 10 targets, 4 catches, 97 yards, a touchdown on 10 targets. Isaiah Likely, 5 catches, 83 yards, touchdown, 7 targets. Zay Flowers, 6 for 60 with 1 touchdown and 10 targets. And I look at it where it almost seems like they're building something similar to Miami, where they have these speedsters and guys that could stretch the field out in all different types of ways. While with Mark Andrews, he was your more, and they would love to have Mark Andrews. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say like Mark Andrews was holding them back by any means, but
it gives them a different threat.
They're able to stretch the field out. Yeah. in all facets of the game and create all these other different types of mismatches. Well, I feel like Mark Andrews is your typical tight end. Nah, I'm just going to stop talking about Mark Andrews because he's one of the best tight ends in the league. I don't think I'm getting my point across.
I get your point. Isaiah Likely is more athletic than Mark Andrews, and it allows them to run more of a spread concept, which gives Lamar Jackson more space than if Mark Andrews was on the field.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Yes.
Yes.
So just like that. And then on top of that, then too, Lamar Jackson had over 386 yards today, 316 passing, 70 yards rushing. It just spread out the entire defense, and they were able to just play the best game I think the Ravens have played this entire season so far. And for Jacksonville, they were able to stop the Cleveland run game, but they were not able to stop the pass game of the Browns here. The Browns had, let me double check this here, only 82 rushing yards, which is low for the Browns, but Joe Flacco threw for 311 passing yards. And once again, they actually also spread it out decently well. David Njoku had 8 targets. Cooper had 14. Elijah Moore had 6. So I think it's going to be, and honestly, and I say that too, that 2 receiver and then tight end trio, I think is similar to Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr., and Isaiah Likely. More speed on the Ravens side than on the Brown side, yes. But I just think it's going to be a very similar matchup to what they just faced against in Cleveland, and they are really going to struggle, especially start out, probably even more, I would say. Thing to watch, though, I will say for the game is Kyle Hamilton did get hurt. He got hurt with a knee injury. Let me double check this here. Yes, knee. I saw him walking on the field, and he did not come back in the game. So that will need to be monitored all throughout the week because he is one of their best players, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But in general, though, Jacksonville, I also think, too, how much do you feel not having Christian Kirk on the field also affected the Jacksonville Jaguars offense?
I mean, a lot. He's their best receiver, maybe a step behind Calvin Ridley, if not toe-to-toe. I mean, that was Trevor Lawrence's favorite target last year. He's his favorite, if not one of his favorite targets again this year. So it definitely hurts. I don't think production-wise it really showed, but I think when you're looking at defensive schemes, I think it definitely allowed the Browns to be a little bit more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball instead of having to worry about not just Calvin Ridley, but then also Christian Kirk as well. So it definitely doesn't help. I don't know his status really for next week. It is Sunday, so it's probably a little too early to tell.
Oh, wait, are you talking about
Christian Kirk?
Oh, he's on IR.
He is? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if he was eligible for return.
No, he pulled his groin, and let me double check. Yeah, he's on IR. Walker Little was not put on IR, but he did not play today, and so that was kind of a big loss overall just for the offensive line. But Christian Kirk, he had a groin injury.
Okay. So, I mean, hopefully he'll be back for playoffs. I am assuming that the Jags will be making the playoffs, but
it'll be interesting, though. I mean, if we look at it right now, so they're going up against this Ravens team, and let's just play into the future a little bit. Let's say they lose this game, go to 8-6. Colts are playing the Steelers. Let's say the Colts win that game as well, and then the Texans are playing the Titans. So let's say Colts and Texans win. They're both at 8-6. Ravens beat the Jaguars. They're now at 8-6. I don't know what the tiebreaker looks like for them. I know the Colts beat the Texans in both games. The Jags beat the Colts in both games, and then the Jags and Texans split. So it's gonna be absolutely wow. I don't think I've ever. Do you remember this ever being
last year and 2 years ago? The AFC, there were scenarios where like the 12th team in the AFC could make the playoffs. So remember when the Chargers and the Raiders were playing in week 17 or 8, week 18, I think, and the Raiders could have knelt the ball, and they both would have.
It was our first year. It was 2021.
Yeah. So that year, I think like the Chargers were like the 11th team in the AFC, or the Raiders were the 11th team in the AFC, and they ended up winning because remember Pittsburgh tied in week 18. So then they
Something
didn't have
like that.
Yeah, it was very odd, but like somehow the Raiders made it after that. So it's a really competitive year in the AFC. And also the NFC, I think, has 4 or 5 teams competing for that spot. I think it's just a little bit different type of competitive over on the
It is
NFC side.
definitely
Yeah.
best of the worst. I feel like for that 7th overall
Yeah.
seed.
So before we get too far into this, let's go ahead and get into our predictions. But before we do that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Other than that, Tyler, I'm going to throw it over to you. Who do you have coming out ahead in this matchup?
This one to me, I'm going with Baltimore. I think that obviously outside of the quarterback position, because I know Joe Flacco is a little bit slower than Lamar Jackson, but outside of that, the teams are actually very similar in their style of play, both offensively and defensively, and just where they are at statistically. So would not be surprised if it's the same type of game that the Jaguars have to go up and face against the Ravens. But the Ravens, I think, are better than the Browns. So I don't think it's going to be nearly as close. Joe Flacco was in his second game, I believe, as a Cleveland Browns. Yeah.
Well, he was there last year and then was cut. It's like there's some familiarity there.
Oh, that's fair. But Joe Flacco, though, still then is not the caliber of quarterback that they're going to be going up against Lamar Jackson. So
I'm sorry, he was not there last year. He was on the Jets last year, and they played Cleveland when he threw for like 4 touchdowns and 400 yards. My apologies. That is correct.
Yeah, Joe Flacco plays well up in Cleveland, no matter which team he's on.
Yeah,
and so, but actually, Ravens fans can attest to that also. But going up against Lamar and then this style of offense, and then at the same time, this defense is stout. I guess it's going to be really tough, I think, for this Jacksonville Jaguars offense, I think, to consistently keep getting up points, especially then, too, if Walker Little doesn't play again as well. Just another injury on that offensive line and offense as a whole that they have to monitor. So I'm going to go with Baltimore on this one. How about yourself?
I'm going to go with Baltimore also. I think if you actually look at their away and home records, Baltimore's 5-1 on the road, and the Jags are 3-4 at home. Also, I just think of how the Jags are going to stop this offense. And right now, Lamar Jackson is playing at an MVP level, and he's doing it in a different way that he did the first time. It's going to be really interesting to see what this Jags defense is able to throw at this offense, because right now they're clicking on all cylinders. They're really able to get after the pass or get after defenses and kind of put them on their heels. Mm-hmm. And if you are able to cover for 5 seconds, Lamar Jackson will just kind of run around, scramble, get 10 yards, first down, plays reset. And then if you have one blown coverage, I think then it results in a big play for the Ravens. And the Jags, I just don't think have been consistent enough on defense to put together a 60-minute effort that would resemble something that would be able to stop this Ravens offense. So we're both going with the away team here, but they are the favorite in the Baltimore Ravens. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I, we have a goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers, which would put us at 2,000 subscribers in a calendar year. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. And while you're down there, leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead. Other than that, we will see you guys next time.